Steeth here. I'm going to be going over combat rogues today because for whatever reason not a lot of people seem to play them. Everybody seems to think that they're no good, you can't play combat for PvP, you can't play combat competitively, and that's just simply not true. It's just because they don't understand the way the spec works. So first off, I'm going to show you the burst that sub actually has, because a lot of people say that, or not sub, I'm sorry, combat actually has, because a lot of people say that the burst is just not there for sub, and that's just not true. So as you can see, the burst damage is fairly high for combat. For a minute there, I was up to almost 409k DPS. Now I know this is just a level 85 training dummy, so it's a little bit less than that normally. But that's still, I mean, even if it dropped 100k because of a higher level target, that's still 309k DPS, which is a big deal. If you have a combat rogue on you that's in killing spree, you're going to want to blow cooldowns or vanish or just do something to get away from them, because if they've got you in that, you're going to go down. There's no two ways about it. So I'm actually going to show you how to do that damage right here. So the damage talents that you want to talent into are Subterfuge, and that's just, it's your longer openers. It's so that I can get off an ambush, a cheap shot, and a garrote all in one opener, which is actually really powerful on its own. I see a lot of sub rogues take it, but we're not talking about sub today, so and then you have Cloak and Dagger, which is basically, it keeps you on target. It's like a Shadow Step that you can only use in stealth, but with double the range of Shadow Step. It's 40 yards. Now, I don't know if anyone pays attention to hunters, but hunters can only shoot 40 yards. So you can teleport just as far as a hunter can shoot, which is, I mean, a long ways. You always seem to be getting sniped by hunters on the battlegrounds from forever away, and they're just standing back there shooting stuff at you. And then the third damage talent that I talent into is Prey on the Weak, so that whenever they're sapped, blinded, gouged, cheap shotted, kidney shotted, all that kind of stuff, all your stuns, you gain 10% increased damage. And I'll go into why that is after. We're going to talk about effective damage as opposed to damage that's just healed through. And then the fourth damage talent that I take is Mark for Death, so that you can get those double eviscerates, or kidney and a slice and dice, or kidney and a eviscerate, or a slice and dice and a eviscerate. Just so that you can be, you keep all the harmful effects on your opponents that you need to keep on them. And then the only other thing that's offensive that I take that I almost don't see anyone use, and I don't know why, is Glyph of Expose Armor. Now, Expose Armor normally only does 4%, it reduces their armor by 4% per stack, and normally you're stacking it one at a time, so I can see there where it would be a waste to waste the 25 energy, I mean it's 75 energy just to use that, which is brutal. But if you take the Glyph, your Expose Armor ability causes 3 applications of weakened armor right away for the same cost as casting it once. So then it's worth taking, because you're not wasting all your energy doing it, but you're still getting all 3 of those. Like, you're still getting all 12% of the reduced armor, which on, warriors and DKs, and casters especially. Casters don't have a whole lot of armor to begin with. If you subtract another 12% off them, they're basically wearing a paper bag, and they're an easy target. So that's for the damage side of things. Now, the defensive side of things, because I've talented into a lot of damage, I don't have a lot of space for defensives, so I've kind of glyphed for them and talented for them accordingly, so that I get the most damage mitigation out of what I've taken. So Glyph of Cloak of Shadows. While Cloak of Shadows is active, you take 40% less physical damage, which is I mean, it's really good. It's worth taking as a combat rogue because we spend so much time out of stealth, getting smacked with things. If we're taking 40% less physical damage while Cloak of Shadows is up, and Cloak of Shadows comes up every minute, that's an extra 40% damage that we're not taking every minute. The second one that I take is Evasion. It increases the duration of evasion by 5 seconds, which if you're not taking as a combat rogue, I'm sorry, but you're bad. Because you need to be taking this, because it gives you time to get right up front in your enemy's face, smack the shit out of them a whole bunch, and then vanish. And then the talents that I take that are defensive are Combat Readiness, because if you stack Combat Readiness at 5 stacks with Cloak of Shadows, you're actually taking 90% reduced damage. Now, it's not like Evasion where you're dodging 100% of damage, you're actually physically taking 90% less damage. So if there's a sub-rogue on you or something like that and you can't evasion it because they're behind you, then you just pop these two and you're good to go. You're taking 90% less damage from their openers and their backstabs and all that freaky shit that sub-rogues have. And then the second one I take is Leeching Poison. And the reason I take this, if you Killing Spree with Leeching Poison on, and then you shiv right away, you're restoring almost... I mean, it's a lot. It's close to, 45-50% of your health. Like, it's a big deal. It's not something to be overlooked. So that's those two. Now, there's a couple of talents that I want to talk about for... or not talents, rather, just abilities that we get with combat, with the combat spec. And those are Bandit's Guile, which your training allows you to recognize and take advantage of the natural ebb and flow of combat. Your Sinister Strikes and Revealing Strikes increase your damage dealt by up to 20%. Now, I don't know if you combat rogues have noticed, or you rogues in general have noticed, but what that is it comes up as 2 little green snakes in the corner of your screen up by your poison buffs. And what it does is it actually increases your damage based on how long you're in a fight for and how much DPS you're doing over time. When the green snake comes up, you're gaining 10% extra damage, which is good to begin with, because if they're stunned, you're now gaining 20%. If the yellow one comes up, you're gaining 30%, because you're getting 20% from Bandit's Guile, and 10% if they're stunned from Prey on the Weak. Now, if the red snakes come up, if you're doing enough damage to get those up, you're gaining 40% damage, because it's 30 from that, and then 10 from Prey on the Weak. So it's a lot of damage. You're doing an extra 40% damage. Like, that's huge. Another thing I want to talk about is Ambidexterity. It increases the damage dealt with your offhand weapon by 75%. I know it looks like a good idea here to throw a sword or a fist weapon in there. Don't, okay? Because here's why. Your offhand is always going to do less damage than your main hand. But if you throw a dagger in there, you're doing the damage actually faster. So you get more DPS as opposed to if you threw, a fist weapon or a sword in there, whereby, because with the dagger you're actually making the most use of that 75% extra damage with your offhand because it's faster. There's a couple of milliseconds difference, but that couple of milliseconds translates into almost 100 extra DPS, so it's good to take a dagger and not 2 main hands, guys. Don't do that. You'll be a better combat rogue if you listen. The next thing I want to talk about is Combat Potency, which gives your successful offhand melee attacks and main gauge attacks a chance to regenerate 15 energy. Slower offhand weapons have a potentially higher chance to trigger Combat Potency, which is why it's good to have, but it's also, you're also going to gain more DPS if you if you only use one main hand or one sword. It's a good talent to have, but I mean, it's all successful attacks, and you don't really need combat rogues have enough energy regeneration that you don't really need that second sword or second fist weapon anyway. The other talent that I wanted to talk about is Vitality, which increases your energy regeneration rate by 20%. So as I said, you're already gaining a lot of energy back, and your attack power by 40%. Now if you look at my attack power, I have 59% attack power, or 59,403 attack power, which is actually more power than I have in sub. If you don't believe me, I'll make another video and I'll show you what the difference is. But yeah, so there's that. And then that's it for the talent side of things. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the 9-second kidney, which is huge. I mean, a 9-second kidney, no one likes the 6-second kidney as is. It's one of the most overpowered stuns in the game. Now, the 9-second kidney, the way that's achieved is through the ability that we have called Revealing Strike. I'll get into Revealing Strike here quickly. So an instant that deals 160% weapon damage and exposes the target's vulnerabilities, increasing the effectiveness of your offensive finishing moves by 35%. Now, 35% is a big deal because, you know, it's 35% across the board on all your offensive finishing moves. So your Eviscerate is going to be like you're doing it with 9 combo points if you're at 5, or is going to be like you're doing it with 8 combo points if you're at 5 combo points. Your kidney shot is going to be like a 9 or an 8 combo point kidney shot. So it's a really, really long time for kidney shot. People hate when they're putting a 9-second kidney. They're guaranteed to trinket it, and then you just throw them in a blind and they're CC'd. So the way you pull that off is you go Revealing Strike, Mark for Death, kidney. Look at the, it's longer than a 6-second kidney, so you can already tell it's 9 seconds. You don't even have to, like, that's a long time. He's still stunned. So if you use that, and you throw Expose Armor on them, you blow cooldowns, and you use Killing Spree, you'll get those high burst numbers that I showed you where I went to 409 DPS instead of just the 307. I mean, the 307 is nothing to laugh at. It's still a lot of damage, but you can just get even higher damage when you use the 9-second kidney. The other thing I wanted to talk about was poisons. I see a lot of people take Deadly Poison for PvP. Deadly Poison's not bad, by any means. If you like it, use it. It's, you know, it's 53,000 nature damage, roughly, if you're good like I am, over the next 12 seconds. But, and this is the part they don't tell you in school, Wound Poison coats you with a weapon with a lethal poison that lasts for an hour. Each strike has a 35% chance of poisoning the enemy, which instantly inflicts 7,648 nature damage and reduces all healing effects on them for 15 seconds. Now, the way that's worded is extremely important because it says instantly. So, Wound Poison is actually an instant nature damage anytime it's applied. So you'll actually have higher burst damage as opposed to if you took Deadly Poison, which will give you higher sustained damage, but with the game being about stuns and burst damage right now, you're better off with Wound Poison. And then obviously you want to have your Leeching Poison up because that's what gives you your healing effects from your Killing Spree, which is extremely overpowered. I think I covered everything that I do, I think. Just make sure when if you have the chance to, if you're, you know, loaded. I'm not loaded, obviously. I PvP. I mean, I only have 851 gold. I'm broke as shit. But if you have the money to do it, or you have the friends that'll help you to do it, make sure you take jewel crafting and engineering as your professions, because those extra gems and that extra cooldown, you know, the gloves that engineering gives you are important to sub, or are important to combat, because we need to maximize effective damage, which is why we're taking Wound Poison. That's the other thing. Maximizing effective damage, if they can't heal as much as you can damage, you're maximizing on your damage. Whereas if you take Deadly Poison and they just heal through it all, you're left standing there going, oh, well, what do I do now? So that's going to be it for this special on Combat Rogues, guys. If you liked it, subscribed. Let me know. You know, shoot me an in-game mail, something along those lines. My tune's name is Steth. It matches the name for the channel that I have. So if you liked it, shoot me an in-game mail. If you didn't like it, if you have, you know, suggestions or things that you'd like to see me do videos on, let me know. But that's going to be it for this special, guys. Thanks.